Lovely people, welcome back to another Writing Tip Tuesday. I'm Sammy, and I'm a writer who likes to help other writers become better writers. So this week, I want to talk to you about overcoming writer's block, because I feel like this is a world-renowned problem that writers have. Everybody knows what writer's block is, everybody knows how it feels, but not everybody knows how to stop having writer's block. So let's give a more universal definition of what writer's block is. According to Masterclass, it is an overwhelming feeling of being stuck in the writing process with the inability to move forward and write anything new. That is so dramatic. I think writer's block is more of a sign than it is something stopping you from writing. I believe it's your brain telling you that something is wrong, but it just happens to be telling you at the time when you wanted to be writing. The kinds of things that your brain could be telling you is wrong are so many. There are so many different things that your brain could be telling you is wrong by giving you writer's block. So you really have to tune into yourself and see what you're feeling. So it could be something as simple as your story just doesn't feel right. It's not in the right place or time or motivation or something along those lines. Something happened in your story that just made it not where it needs to be. And that's what your writer's block is telling you. Go back, try to fix it. Something's wrong. It could be that your inner critic is getting too loud. Something along the lines of you feel like your work is not good and therefore you should stop. But there's a big part of you that doesn't want to stop, hence the writer's block. There's part of you that's telling you to stop, and you need to get that taken care of to be able to keep going. You need to convince yourself, you need to talk to people who believe in you, you need to have somebody give you positive reinforcement that you should be writing to counteract that. You need to give yourself positive reinforcement that you should be writing, because you should. And the fact that you are experiencing writer's block is telling you that something is wrong and you need to shut up your inner critic. It's not telling you to trust your inner critic and give up. Never believe your inner critic. They are so much harder on you than anyone else in the world ever will be. You could have social anxiety coming into your writing process where it doesn't need to be, where perhaps you think, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not as good of a writer as author. And that is a very, very bad place to be in, because you're looking at your first draft or your chapter 1 to their Chapter 75. They've been doing this. They started where you are. They were comparing themselves to other authors, and then they probably decided that instead of saying, I'm not as good as that person, they started to think, this is my chapter 1, they're on chapter 75. I'm just gonna keep working until I get to where they are now. And then they did. And now you're looking at them and doing the same thing. So you have to think about it as progress, as a goal, as something that is achievable. They did it, so why can't you? And another thing that your writer's block could be telling you is that your mindset just isn't in the right place, which could be so many things. It could be you're thinking about life too much, or you're having imposter syndrome, or something's going on at work, or anything is just not in the right place. So how do you overcome writer's block? First, stop giving it so much power. Writer's block. It's so dramatic. It doesn't need to be. You don't have to say, oh, I can't write, I have writer's block. You can't give it that power. You have to keep writing even if you have writer's block. Write something that's trash. Write something that you know you're gonna scrap. Just get some words out. Writer's block is only as strong as you make it. So if you take it as a cue to reassess something, to check in with yourself, to see what is going on in your head, rather than as a sign to stop, you are going to do so much better, and you won't even notice the writer's block anymore, because it won't be writer's block. It'll be, I think I need to check in with something. I'm gonna reread what I wrote and see if everything is working well. So one of the ways to take writer's block as a cue is to start with checking in with your feelings. How are you feeling? Why are you feeling that? Where are those feelings coming from? What is your inner monologue like? What are you saying to yourself? Take some time and just free write. Word vomit on a page or onto your computer. Just write exactly what you're thinking. Train of thought. Write all of it down. Just get it out of you. Read it back as if you're reading your character's thought process, not your own. Check in and see, oh, this is probably why I feel stressed. This is probably where my anxiety is coming from, because I keep telling myself I can't do it. I keep telling myself that I'm not as good as that author. I keep telling myself that I should just work a 9 to 5 and not have to worry about being creative, or whatever it is. Identify it. Identify what is going on in your mind that is making you feel like you can't write, because it's all in your head. It actually is though. A lot of it is just going to be in your head. If you write out all of your thoughts and you find that you are actually truly only feeling stuck on your story, read through what you have out loud. And if you have a lot, read through what you have out loud as your writing session several times in a row. Find where you feel like your story is getting derailed. And you should read it out loud, because when you read out loud, your brain does different things than when you read in your head. Your brain was there when you wrote it, so it can take choices and jump and skip and play around with the words, and then it's not actually what you have written on the page, it's what you should have written on the page, and you don't recognize any errors or any things that are standing out. But when you read out loud, you have to take your time to speak the words, which is usually at a pace slower than your brain can process the words, and you have to hear them. And hearing them is different than just reading them. There is so much you can get out of reading out loud that you might not have caught, and it can totally alter your writer's block, because if you read out loud and you catch it, whatever the thing is that you're stuck on, you weren't sure it was working, you find it, you read it out loud, you figure out what's missing, and then you can keep going. If you find that you've got some kind of social anxiety where you're worried about other people reading your work, or you're worried about the quality of your work for other people judging it, or anything along those lines, keep in mind that no one is going to read your writing until you are comfortable with them reading your writing. You are in charge of that. So if you're on your first draft and you're like, wow, this is so bad, I hate it, it's so, like, nobody's gonna like to read it, it's so embarrassing, stop doing that. Don't talk to yourself like that. That's not good for you. And remember, nobody's gonna see it until you're ready for people to see it. You're in charge of that. No one's gonna sneak into your house and log into your computer and open your document to read your writing behind your back. And if people want to read it before you're ready, let them know, I'm not quite ready for other people to read it yet, but you will be one of the first people I give it to. Or if you don't want them to read it, just say, oh, well, it's not quite ready yet. And don't tell them any promises. Just, it's not quite ready yet. And that's true. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if people keep pressing on you, maybe you don't want to be friends with those people. Probably don't want to talk about your writing with those people. You are in charge of when people see your writing. And that's great. You don't always need critique on your first draft. In fact, it might be better to not get critique on your first draft if you are feeling self-conscious about your writing. If in your mindset check-in you find out that you feel weird about not following the rules of writing, or you feel like you're breaking rules of writing that you don't know about, or something that, like, you feel like you're doing it wrong, take everything you know that is a rule that you know about writing and break them. Write like a short story, or like a page or two of something that is not related to your story at all, or write a short story with the characters from your story, and break all of the writing rules. There aren't any rules for art. There are like structures to help you understand and move towards knowing what you're doing, but there aren't any rules for art. It's all completely subjective, and your writing is an art. If you're feeling uncomfortable with the concept of what is the right way to write, there isn't one. And remind yourself of that by writing something that isn't according to the rules. Make up your own rules. Who cares? As long as it's entertaining, nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. How would they know? There are so many other reasons why you could be feeling stuck mentally and on your writing, on your story. There are a lot of reasons that something could be wrong, that your writer's block is telling you something is wrong. And if they are not ones that I have identified in this video, then I want you to take whatever it is you found. If you're like, wow, I don't feel like I can do this or whatever, I want you to take whatever it is that is making you feel stuck and do the exact opposite. Make an affirmation of the exact opposite of what you're scared of. So if I say, like, I figure out I'm scared that my story will never get published because nobody's gonna like it, my affirmation would be, I am gonna have publishers competing over who wants my book. People are going to love it, and I am going to be a New York Times bestseller. And it even may work better for you if you come up with your affirmation in the present tense. They say that that helps your brain adjust to like a more positive thinking and not have to like argue with it. Future tense, you can, I'm going to. Future tense, your brain can have the opportunity to say, but like, will you? Are you sure about that? But if you say, I am, I currently have publishers fighting over my book. They all want to publish my book. My book is published. People love my book. I am on the New York Times bestseller list. That may have a stronger impact. So just see what works better for you for those affirmations and make sure that you are telling yourself them with conviction. I know, part of you doesn't believe them, but you have to give all of what you can into the part that can believe in them, because that's how you're gonna outcome your slump. When in doubt, word vomit. When you don't know what's going on, write everything that you can on a piece of paper in your computer until your mind feels clear or your hand cramps, or whichever comes first. You don't have to worry about messing up your project or doing anything clunky or awkward that you're just gonna have to edit out later. You're just clearing your mind and getting your focus back on where you're going. If you've done all of these things, but for some reason you're still feeling a little bit stuck, like you can't write, try setting a timer and saying you're going to write as many words as you can in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, and just try doing that. It creates a little bit of a competition, and then your brain is like, okay, gotta do it, I gotta beat this. And then you can compete against yourself for more words in 5 minutes or whatever it is, and just keep going. You can also try and set deadlines for yourself. I am going to have this chapter done by Tuesday. I'll have it done by Tuesday, next week, Tuesday. Work really hard towards that. Maybe give yourself a reward if you make it. Write it down somewhere that you can see it. This goal of writing this whole chapter by Tuesday, write it down in something you can't change, pen or marker or something that you can't like erase it and just say, it's gonna be Wednesday. So you have that. Treat it like it's an assignment, like you need a grade for it. If you don't turn it in, you're gonna fail. Something along those lines, something that motivates you directly. And having a writing routine can help you combat writer's block, because you have this natural structure of like, this is the time that I sit down and I write, and I am creative in this time, and then everything works out, and I have to do something because it's my writing routine. It's the time that I am supposed to be writing. I actually have a video on how to build out a writing routine that you can check out here, and I'll have that link down in the description for you as well. But that is all that I've got for you today, so I will see you guys on Saturday for a story study Saturday, and back again on Tuesday for another writing tip Tuesday. If you have any topics that you want me to cover in these writing tips, let me know in the comments down below. I would be happy to look into anything that you are struggling with or you're hoping to find out more about. But I will see you guys on Saturday.